Okay, cool. So welcome to Vega Weekly Testnet Jam, where we have a look at what's going on Testnet and learn about new things, and you can also get support for whatever questions you may have. So today we have Michael, who's going to give you a tour of console. If you have any questions and you're watching this now, just ask in the chat. If you have any questions and you're rewatching this, jump in our Discord where we're all at answering any questions. So, and after this as well, there will be a Zoom room for support. I will share the link to that in the Twitch chat. So yeah, with that, over to you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Christine said, I'm going to talk about console. Okay, so what I did before is I clicked on this Ave market. So I've got a list of markets. I click this one, opens a little preview. So that allows me to see Ave Die market, some information about it, chart, order book, and I hit the create new workspace link, which then created a new tab at the top. So then I've now got these two different places I can go, which are kind of shortcuts to things that I might be interested in. And I can create another one for UniDie. So I'll get a little preview of it the first time I click. And then when I click create new workspace, I get another placeholder for it. And then I started talking about customization. So I dragged a ticket and put that over here. I decided I didn't want this UniDie market info. I wanted my collateral window over there. Perhaps I don't want this futures list. Because now I can have just a nice big chart, a collateral window, and a deal ticket, as well as my positions, fills, orders, etc. down the bottom. And this Ave Die workspace remains as it was, but I could customize it and I could make it laid out the same way as it was before. So yeah, sorry to say it twice, but that's the kind of the gist of what console is about. It's about you being able to customize your view for how you interact with Vega. So now I've got two different views, one for Uni and one for Ave. But if I'm looking perhaps at how these two markets are correlated or not correlated, I might want to see them both at the same time. So just with lots of other platforms in the same space, I could open those as different browser tabs. So I could have one browser tab pointing at the Uni workspace and another one pointing at Ave. I've got multi-screen sort of setup going on, so I could drag that browser tab over there and have it open. But more customizable than that, I could choose to have both of these markets appear on a single workspace. So what I'm going to do now is create a brand new workspace, and I'm going to put into it the views that I want to be able to see, so that on my primary monitor I can see those two markets. So I'm going to hit this plus button here, and that's going to ask me if I want to select one of the markets that's already there and is been enacted, or whether I want to create a new empty workspace. So I'm just going to give it a name. I can call it DeFi. And there I've created a blank workspace with nothing on it. And it looks a bit too blank at the moment, and that's partly because we've not built this feature, which is a view library. There will be all of the components that you can potentially have in a layout. And you'll be able to give you a description of each one. You'll be able to click on one and then say that I want this depth chart to be looking at a specific market. But as it stands at the moment, I'd have to say that I'm interested in the Uni market and find a whole load of things that match that. And if I type in charts, then I can just say Uni chart. Okay, that first result's the one I want, so I hit return. And then I get a nice big Uni chart open. And I think the reason why the first candle starts here is either a bug with something that's just been introduced, or probably because actually this market only started fairly recently. But I can sidestep that and move on. So I wanted Ave as well. So I'll do Ave charts. And then I'm going to drag this down here. As now I can see two different charts for two different markets on one workspace. Let's go a bit further than that. Let's say that I want a Uni ticket. Drag that over there. It was kind of long and skinny like this, but if I squish it up, it will adapt to a better use of the space, the different layouts that we'll jump to. Let's say that we want a uni book as well. That one. So I can then see my market depth and my charts at the same time. I can do that the same thing down here, but actually what I'll do, I'll just create 2 charts. And I'll say that one, this one on the left, to perhaps be a 15-minute interval, and this one on the right to be a 1-minute interval. So hopefully that kind of gives you a gist of the amount of layout customization that you can do in Vega, in Console, sorry. And yeah, they kind of, that I think signals some of the intent, like the purpose, I guess, of Console and the direction that we're going to take it in. I'll show a few more things. So I was clicking this plus button to add things to the workspace, so I could have done a uni depth. But actually, I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to now just hit the search button up here, or the other thing I could have done was hit Shift and S, and I could search for uni depth. And so depth is the name of the view that we have, and uni die is the name of the market. So if I select that one, I will then get a little preview of that one. It looks a bit squished at the moment, but if I click plus, I can then choose where in the layout I want to place that view. So I'm going to tab it up next to this. So if I want to switch between the depth view and the chart, I can do that, or I can just drag them next to each other. So that's another way, hitting Command and S or Shift and S, that you can find views that exist in Console. And that same view, the same search thing, will eventually include the library where you'll be able to search for different views. Some other little features that you might not discover naturally, I'll just talk about, is you can click on a price in this order book and it will open up a deal ticket pre-populated with that price. So this is the beginnings of views talking to each other. What we really want to be able to get to is that on this first screen, rather than just having a whole load of blank windows, which is what you'll see when you first log in, this will be a way that you can select what market is in the charts. So in fact, if I go back to this DeFi one, let's put a features list into this. In fact, I'm going to create a new workspace. Call it all markets. I put a futures view into it, and I'm going to want charts. Let's just put Tesla chart in for the time being. And I want an order book. And it's a bit weird because I'm showing you stuff that doesn't exist at the moment. I've got a book that's actually got 2 sides of the market. But what I'll eventually be able to do is have a selected market in this futures list. And I'll be able to say, by selecting this market, I want this chart to change that market. I want this order book to change that market. And if I have a ticket in the workspace, that would also change the selected market. And so that's another significant layout or customization feature that will allow you to create one of lots of different possible layouts and configurations to allow you to trade a subset of the markets that you want to in a quick and convenient way. What else can I show you? Perhaps I didn't talk about wallets earlier, but over here we have the wallet that I'm currently connected to. I have multiple keys. I've got one I've gotten to give a name. It's got no assets. I've got a primary key and one I gave a silly alias. And I could just switch between those. And then if any orders that I had associated with those keys, so these positions and orders that I have, I'd see those switch out for the other keys that exist. You may not see those multiple keys yet, but it's a feature that I think has just been released or will be released very shortly, which will allow you to create new keys and give them new aliases. If I have console, but if you run a command line wallet, you'll be able to do that already. Oh yes, and the other thing, let's say I wanted to create an account workspace. So I've got another blank one. This is a workspace I'm creating for just kind of give me an overview of all of my stuff. So I want my collateral on it. I want my positions. And next to the collateral window, perhaps I will want to put the deposits view. So this was fairly recently added. So rather than having to go into the wallet, select a key, select an asset, and hit deposit, and go through the process here, I can just have the withdraw and deposit components here, so I can just quickly make additional deposits or withdrawals in this layout. I want my orders and so on. So yeah, let me just check my list, see if I've covered everything. Eventually this will get to the point where you may want, you might be a specific user. So if you're providing liquidity on a market, we have other views like this liquidity provisions one, which adds here. It's going to look quite squished because it usually has quite a lot of data on it, which then will allow me to see who is providing or all the different liquidity provisions that exist in this market at the moment. And I'll be able to resize table columns. And there's probably more data in here that I want, and the default configuration for this table hasn't been worked on that much, but we intend to have like good defaults for what a table would look like when it is first added to a workspace, but allow you to then choose exactly what columns you see in here, as well as how wide they are, what order they're in, and then perhaps anything else like what happens when you interact with the data in here. So if I click on this, what I want it to do, which is a whole other area of kind of building mini spreadsheets into console, which sounds like a big promise. I don't think we'll get there anytime soon, but it's the sort of direction that we're going in, that sort of level of configuration. So I think there's probably stuff I've forgotten, but I wonder whether, Christina, that's a good point to sort of wrap up and maybe see if there's any questions. Christina?
Hi, sorry.
This one?
I lost the Zoom screen amongst the menu screens. No, thanks. That was awesome. I think we had a lot of thumbs up and close. And we had a question about when the next testnet phase is coming.
Oh, hang on. I can't really hear you. Say that again.
When is the next release?
So I think there was a release today, and releases to console happen fairly recently. So you'll see in console today that the charts have had quite a big improvement. The interactions are improved. It's much smoother scrolling around. I think perhaps charts deserve their own session at another time, but that's included in the current release.
They are getting their own. And just to chip in on that, they are getting their own session, and it's in the works. So yeah, watch this space.
And I think there'll probably be
cool.
another every week or 2 weeks.
So I just shared the Zoom link in the chat here. So if anyone has any questions and wants to ask, then I'll see you there. Thank you so much, Michael.
No worries.